Welcome back to my channel. It's Plain Decoded. I'm going to be covering the NCAA basketball championship, Connecticut Huskies versus San Diego Aztecs. And the Huskies are pretty big favorites last time I looked. I think they were minus 360. And the chart is going to be pretty straightforward, I think. I'll get into that, but if you like what I do, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/plaindecoded. I'm daily in there decoding sports with, right now, Major League Baseball and NHL, and I've been doing really well on my money line. And I also decode props with gematria, but I kind of put that on the back burner right now. I'm just doing money line on NHL and MLB. Doing really well. Got a lot of new supporters, so thanks to everybody supporting me on Patreon. And my goal is to get a new computer where I can be making better videos and decoding faster and just doing an overall better job where I can get scoring plays quicker, because I can also call scoring plays using Astrology. And that's really cool when that happens too. But I need to get a new software that does that. So I'll just get into the game here. So it starts April 3rd, 2023 at 8:20 local in Houston. Every birth chart you bring up for a game is where the game is being played, and that's in Houston. And then the favorites get the first house and the 10th house. The first house has Libra in it ruled by Venus, and the 10th has Cancer in it ruled by the moon. But you can't use the moon because the moon controls the entire game. And so the moon, instead of that, it's going to be Mercury, because the moon is in Virgo and Mercury rules Virgo. So the main significators for the favorite are Venus and Mercury. And then for the underdog, they get the 7th house, and that has Aries in it ruled by Mars. And they get the 4th house, and that has Capricorn in it ruled by Saturn. And the reason for the 10th and the 4th, 10th house is a house of actions, so that shows the actions of the favorite, and the 4th shows the actions of the underdog because it's the 10th from the 7th house. So if you look at the 7th as the first house, so this is the 7th here, if you look at it as the first house, and then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, including the 7th house, then the 4th house is the house of actions for the underdog, and that's why you do that. That's called turning the chart. Okay, and then what you want to do is look at where the significators are. So right now I'm going to look for Venus. Where is Venus? Venus is up in the 8th house. And then you also want to look at the Anticia of Venus. Where is that? Venus is, the Anticia is up in the 10th house. And they should be near the cusps if they're going to have any impact on the game by house placement. And that Venus has no cusp locations. And then now we'll look at where Mercury is. So Mercury is in the 7th house. It's too far away from the cusp of the front of the 7th house. The DSC line here, that's the front door of the 7th house. If it was just on the inside, that'd be worrisome. That means it would be controlled by the 7th. But if it was on the outside coming in, that'd be good. But it's too far away from the cusp. You want it to be closer than 2 degrees, no more than 2 degrees max away. But it's not being affected at all. Okay, so now we'll look at the 7th house ruler, which is Aries, ruled by Mars. And Mars is up here in the 9th house. It's not near any of the cusps of the angles. The angles are the ascendant, the descendant, the MC, and the IC. Those are the only house placements that matter, the angles. And the Anticia of Mars is... where is it? Where's the Anticia of Mars? Oh, it's right up here as well. So it's not doing anything as well. And then Saturn is... where's Saturn at? Oh, Saturn is down in the 5th. So it's not doing anything on the angles. The Anticia is... I don't see the Anticia yet. Where is the Anticia? Should be... where is it? Oh, it's up here. Okay, so it's up in the 1st house. It's too far from the cusp to mean anything. If it was a little bit closer, it'd be bad news. It wouldn't favor the underdogs. Would be good for the favorites because it'd be under the control, but it's more than 2 degrees away from the cusp. So you don't have to worry about that. And then we'll check what the moon is doing. Now the moon, if it has to be applying to one of those significators or to the part of fortune. The part of fortune is this black circle with an X to be considered doing anything. So is the moon applying to those significators, those lords that I talked about earlier, those planets? And an easy way to tell is just to hit this aspects button. And then you can see here that Moon is trine Venus applying. That's the middle one. And that's 2 degrees, 11 minutes. So that's a really good testimony for the favorite, because Venus is the favorite and the Moon is applying to it. And Libra is in the first house. It doesn't matter what kind of aspect it is. This is a trine in this case, which means it's 120 degrees. And so that's a really good testimony for the favorite. And the Moon usually decides the outcome of most games. And then that's all that it's applying to as far as that. And then you also want to check the Antisha. Is the Moon applying to any of the Antisha? So if it's applying to any of the Antisha, the most important are the oppositions or the conjunctions. The other aspects aren't as reliable, and you can throw them in there just to increase testimonies. In this case, there are no, there's no oppositions and there's no aspects to any of the Antisha. Way to look is to see that the Moon is at 19 degrees and 25 minutes, and then scroll down here and it has the positions of the Antisha here on the right. And so you'd want something within 5 degrees. So when it's applying, you always want it within 5 degrees. And this game is shorter, so maybe even closer. So in here, there's nothing close to the Moon. So you would be like wanting something like up to 23 degrees. And the closest thing is this North Node, which is 24 degrees, and that means nothing if it's applying to that. So nothing in the Antisha, and then you want to check the part of fortune. So what's happening with the part of fortune? The part of fortune is down here. You have Neptune near it, but with the outer planets, you want it to be within 1 degree to cause any problems. And Neptune doesn't really do anything with the part of fortune. If it was Pluto, then you'd be looking at a possible upset. And then is anything else aspecting it? So you'd look for anything else at 28 degrees. And there's nothing really aspecting it at 28 degrees. Mars, I saw an aspect there, so let's see what Mars is doing. 25. So there's a square. Well, you want to look at actually bodily. So here's Mars, the body of Mars, and it's at 4 degrees and 44 minutes. And then the Antisha of the part of fortune is at 1 degree. So no, there's nothing happening there. So the only real clear testimony I see is for the favorite, and that's the Moon trining Venus. And it's close enough. It's at 2 degrees and 11 minutes. That should be good enough. So I like the favorite to win, and that's the Huskies. I'll go to my Discord here. So Moon trine Venus applying 2 degrees and 11 minutes. Venus is Lord 1. And that's about it. Let's see, make sure Saturn's not doing anything. No, it's down here. So yeah, that's it. I think the Huskies should take this. So if you were going to bet the other team, like, because they're such huge favorites, there's nothing you can really do. You can't bet the money line. And I don't know about the spread. That would be up to someone who just guessing, basically. That would be an actual gamble. So all I would suggest doing is if they go down to take them, or just don't bet the other team, because the Huskies are going to win. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Remember, if you want to get in my Discord, it's patreon.com/plaindecoded. It's only $10 a month, Canadian. And thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.